Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Give everyone a moment to come in. If you can hear me, just pop into the chat. Hello. Hi, Rima, Kayla, Terry, Bonnie. Amazing. I always like to ask as we're waiting for everyone to join where everyone's tuning in from. Right now, I'm in New York. We have Miami, Vancouver. Also got some Canadians, Denver, Los Angeles. Oh, to Denver. Emily and Abby, do you guys know each other? UK. Fun. Awesome. Yeah, so I guess if anyone's new here, we do these webinars once a month, and sometimes we'll even do even some bonus webinars as well. But we do just webinars and content around social media, influencer marketing, just keeping all of ourselves and all of our brands up to date on all the things happening. Because as we all know, things are changing so rapidly all the time in marketing. But today we're going to be covering what influencers want when it comes to product seeding campaigns. We've been having a ton of brands that do seeding campaigns, and I feel like there's been lots of different opinions about best practices. So we even interviewed some of our creators as well. So I'm excited to share that. But while we kick things off too, I'm curious, we have a poll here. How many of you have done product seeding? And that's just shipping out to creators and your product out to creators with just like letting them give them full freedom if they post if they want to. So just like gifting them products. Okay, cool. It looks like over half of us on the call that answered the poll have done it, and then a handful not yet. We're going to go through the basics of it and just how to pick the right products. And we have some great tools and methodologies around it. So I'm excited to share that as well. And then we have tons of content on our website too. So if you're ever looking for more resources, feel free to check out our blog. But yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. As we jump into it. So, my name is Kristen Wiley, founder and CEO of Statusphere. And what we do at Statusphere is we scale micro influencer marketing for brands. So my background is I've been in the influencer marketing space for the last 10 years, working for on the agency side. I was also a blogger myself. So I was on the creator side. So really just helping brands scale their influencer marketing and running those campaigns. And I couldn't find a software to really do what I needed it to do. So ended up building our incredible team and building the software that we have today. And really the pain point that we solve for is trying to scale that micro nano category, right? So finding those creators, getting that content, handling the contracts, the payments, and even the rights as well in the contract. So with Statusphere, we take all those hours, we turn it into 1 hour. If you're interested in chatting with our team, we'd love to explore ways we can help you if this is something that is interesting to you. And I'm also going to speak to a new feature that we actually just launched. So if you're a current customer on the call, I'm excited to talk about one of our newer features that we just launched in the platform, and I'll wrap that up at the end as well. But yeah, we truly do scale that influencer marketing piece. We passed 75,000 brand creator collaborations. So we'd love to chat with you about how we can help. But for today, we're going to be covering seeding specifically. So we're going to start with the state of product seeding in 2024. How to pick the perfect products for seeding. This is a hot topic and I think can really make or break the success of your campaigns. Then we'll talk about influencer seeding versus traditional influencer marketing. And then expert tips for product seeding success. So let's jump into it. And also, this will be recorded too. So just a heads up as well. If you see slides that you want, we'll be sending this over afterward. And I'll try to leave a little bit of time for questions at the end as well. If you want to pop them in the chat, I'll take those at the end. But with that, what is the state of product seeding in 2024? So I wanted to throw some stats together to show you that there are still brands and lots of brands using this as a tactic. So social platforms and influencers are the top two channels for product discovery, which is why influencer marketing has grown as much as it has. And 92% of brands agree that seeding successfully builds that brand awareness. And it makes your products more visible across the customer journey, right? So you can actually see from like discovery phase all the way down to decision phase, people are creating content and talking about it. And then boom of social search and shopping has made seeding content even more visible than ever, because now creators have upside to post even more based on if you are doing shopping like TikTok shop and different pieces like that, or Amazon shop. Some benefits of seeding for brands is that it's more authentic UGC with less oversight. So obviously, it's a trade-off from where you're able to brief them on talking points or even where they're going to post. Obviously, with true seeding, you are just sending them the product with no expectations, and that is key here to remember. Like as soon as you try to put expectations when you're just sending a seeded product, you may leave a bad taste in the creator's mouth, which we'll talk about the right way to approach that later. So some of the benefits though of seeding is that it is the relaxed briefing. So creative freedom, authentic content. It saves you time because you don't have to do a lot of the influencer management tasks because you're just sending out product. No back and forth or one-on-one negotiations. And then your primary goal is just to get the product in the hands. And 86% of consumers making purchasing decisions say that authenticity is vital, which is why I think also seeding works so well. Um, and then some other benefits is that you really get that true word of mouth at scale. Like this is real word of mouth. These creators don't have to post; they're posting because they want to post, right? So a lot of times it has a lot higher authenticity, which leads to higher engagement, and it also can go, especially with the new algorithms, go to the really high intent audience. So some of the top types of content that's produced from seeding include product reviews, unboxings, tutorials, and how-to content. Um, and I always remind people, if you've been on my other webinars, you know that with the algorithms on Instagram and TikTok, like ranking is just a numbers game if you want to rank in social search. So you just need lots of people talking about your product, and seeding really can help you do that. And then it creates that snowball effect. So more seeding, more creators, more future collabs. It can also attract interest from creators to do more longer term collabs and all of that as well. And then there's a lot of benefits for creators too. So 79% of influencers want to build long-term relationships with brands. So a lot of times, if they truly like your product, they will create content to open that door to a longer collaboration. This also allows you to uncover creators who love your brand, so you can collaborate with them in the future. Less stress for the creators, less pressure, less back and forth. So all the benefits for you are also the benefits for them, and it can help them build legitimacy and grow their accounts too. Because when I was a creator, it was always hard for me to actually sometimes come up with content ideas to work with. I would even sometimes buy products and then return them way back in the day, when I didn't have budget to do it. So having some brands sending you seeding product also can help you fill your content calendar. So now jumping into what to consider before you pick the product that you're going to seed to creators. So this is really important when you're thinking about setting yourself up for success for a campaign. So first and foremost, you should always start with your goal, because your goal is what's going to help you lead down to pick the right products to achieve this goal and for your brand. So some common goals that I hear from seeding campaigns is, I just want as many creators posting as possible. I want earned media. So I want to measure how many people are mentioning my brand, and I want to see how many, earned media views I get. I want repurposable UGC. So they're like, I'm going to send out a bunch of products, and then I want to find these creators and then message them and see if I can get the rights to use it in, let's say, ads or on your website or things like that, or even in your feed too. Audience feedback. So sometimes it's just like sending it out to just get feedback from these creators of how they like the product and see like how it is in their hands. And then you could also be all of the above. So these are some common goals. I will say, if your goal with product seeding is as many posts as possible, you really need to think through several of the other pieces, and you need to think through your budget, and if it does actually make more sense to maybe do a guaranteed post or like a true influencer marketing campaign where like you're actually contracting the creators, because then you can actually guarantee that you're getting those posts, right? Because it is a crapshoot. On average, most brands that we see have a 20 to 30% post rate. So you're sending out 100 products, you only get about 20 to 30 posts, and you have no control over what those are. And this leads to the third goal listed here, which is repurposable UGC. If that is your goal also, seeding may not be the best realm for it, because remember, you have no control. You can't even give them do's and don'ts. You don't even know where they're going to post, if they're going to post on TikTok, if they're going to post a story, if they're going to post a reel. So really think about your goal and if seeding makes sense for it. Then you're going to want to think about creator targeting and product selection. So with product selection, like, are you creating a PR kit? Are you going to do like a full, like, beautiful kit? We've all seen those been shipped out to creators. Those do take time, money, design resources, kitting practices as well. And I should go back to repurposable UGC. If this is a kit that you're custom making for creators, then is this going to be repurposable UGC for you, right? So there's a lot of different things to consider when you're thinking about doing a PR kit. Are you going to do a bundle or an individual product? If you do a bundle, most likely you're going to get content of the bundle, so like know that. Do you have variants in your kits? Like, do you want them to pick the color? Do you want them to pick their size? Do you want them to pick, a shampoo for curly hair versus blonde hair versus straight hair? Like, you have to think through that as well. And then the creator criteria for the seeding kits. So, like, who are you wanting to target? If it is a shampoo for women with curly hair, you need to make sure that you're shipping it to women with curly hair. Otherwise, you're just wasting products. And then the shipping costs and fulfillment. So, assess the amount of resources and time needed to start seeding when thinking through the creator list and product selection. And I will break out some of our formulas for kind of drilling into this shortly, but these are the high level. And then third, how are you measuring success? What is the number of creators that you need to seed to hit your goals? Number of opt-ins can be a good KPI. So these are all KPIs that you can use to track the success of your campaign. Post rate is obviously an obvious one. So out of 100 you send out, how many posts do you actually get? The reach of the earned media that you do get. So how many views did you get across the content? Your engagement rate. So I always tell brands, like, make sure you're like setting some benchmarks around this, so that you can actually not just sending all this product and it's just a black hole and you don't even know what it's producing. So as you consider your goal before you start seeding, you have that as, is your goal as many posts as possible? So you want to think of product choice plus the creator matching are going to be like super imperative, because if you're sending out a bunch of, blonde hair shampoo and people have brown hair, like, they're not going to post about it, right? So you got to think about the creator matchmaking, and then you also have to think about that product choice. And we'll talk about this later too, but if you're you know a pet brand or a food brand, like, you're going to send out food and you're like a company that's meat sticks, you don't want to send it to someone who's vegetarian, right? So you really need to think about that creator match, or you might even get the what's even worse than people not posting at all, which is like negative posts as well. So you want to think through that thoughtfulness. Next is your goal earned media. So consider asking creators to opt in prior to shipping the products. You want to actually think through, like, do you want them to, like, what are they doing in exchange for this product? What do you want to actually set some guidelines? Repurposable UGC. So this is much better suited, like I said earlier, for traditional influencer collaborations. So this is because you do not have the rights to repurpose content that someone just posts about you online. If they tag you, you need to actually get the rights to be able to use it on your website. You can't just go take it and use the content on your website or repost it, cross post it on a different channel as well. So that's why I recommend, if your goal is repurposable UGC, that you actually do a more traditional collaboration with creators versus doing seeding. And then if you just want as many creators having the product as possible to get that word of mouth brand awareness, then seeding is good for that as well. So the impact of product selection on ROI. So it should not be a black hole of ROI. You should really be thoughtful about the product choice, and posting percentage to get happier creators in general. And then poor product choice results in a massive waste of product, packaging, and it will result in fewer posts, right? So this is why it's so important. Also, just an example of thinking through the ROI of how you're thinking about the content that's produced and the earned media that's produced. Make sure you're including your product plus the shipping costs plus the post rate to really figure out what you're actually paying per post or piece of content that you see that's being produced. And then best practices for targeting for product seeding. So when creators opt in, this is like the top way that you can increase your posting percentage. So the two ways you can do seeding is you just have a list of people's addresses. And I've seen PR agencies do this. I've seen companies do this, where they're just like, every time they have a new product launch, they just send it out to this giant list of addresses. There is backlash happening online. Here's an article about it, where like beauty influencers call out wasteful trend of makeup promos, where people will send, you can see this woman, she got every single shade of a foundation. Like, it's wasteful. Like, what is she going to do with every single shade of the foundation? I've seen shampoo companies send a whole line of products for all different hair concerns. How about you ask the creators what their hair concern is, so that you're not wasting products and increasing that post rate? So at Statusphere, whenever we're running seeding campaigns, we always make sure we do get that creator opt-in, because we don't want any of that backlash for the brands that we work with. But it is important to think through that. It also just helps you save on shipping costs, because sometimes you're shipping it to the wrong address if you don't get brand creators to re-verify where they live, if they moved or things like that. But 65% of brands will send product to creators with no expectations, and they'll just send them. And like I said, if you go on TikTok or Instagram, there's a whole subset of posts about people calling out brands. So be careful about that. And we have some examples of that later too, so that you can hopefully avoid that. But some signs of poor targeting for product seeding. So you shipped without reviewing your list, this spray and pray mentality. So you just were like, I have this list, I'm going to send it, I'm not even going to check it again. Creators weren't expecting anything from you. The product doesn't align with their audience. The creator isn't even the target for the product, or they're not in the location that you ship to. So I know these sound like basics, but they happen all the time. And you can see some content on these screenshots right here. Like the woman on the top, she says, when they send you a children's size 6 instead of a normal adult size 6 of the product. And then this creator was calling out the wasteful packaging, how like 75% of the product like she would never use, including like swag items, really thinking through that and asking creators, do you want this tumbler? Do you want this shirt, right? Some of them, they have so much they don't want it, and it just feels wasteful to them. And then your brand is associated with that to these creators. Here's some those examples that I talked about of product seeding gone wrong. So here's one of like, this is probably the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. So this creator, like, they can say whatever they want about your product. You can see the other creators, the brands that made the same PR kit to the old address for a year. The other one got the wrong address. I think it was sent to the wrong address, so some random person got the products. So not only is it important just so that you don't waste product, it's also important so it doesn't backfire on you as well. And then here's some actual quotes from some creators. We actually have some team members that are creators, and then we obviously have a whole network of creators that we talk to constantly. So I wanted to give some examples of like the worst experience they've received with product seeding and the best experience. So here's a fitness creator. He was saying supplements. He noticed that he gets supplements all the time, and it's too short of a benefit or a time period to see any benefit. And then he also normally has a routine already. So like they're shipping him stuff without him even knowing that it's showing up. It's showing up, and then he like doesn't. He's like I'm gonna have to test this product for like 6, 8+ months, right? So like that's a high risk, and like is he gonna do that and post about it? It probably, you're not gonna get much from a campaign like that, especially if it's supplements. This pet creator, I thought this was a great example of knowing your targeting. She says, as a pet influencer, I've been sent multiple products to help with dog shedding, but she has a doodle and her dog does not shed. So it has enough, like, she's like, I don't know what to do with all these products that are being sent to me. And then an example from a lifestyle creator, she said, I received like 30 packs of lentil beans, and she's a super picky eater. And she like just showed up at her door and she didn't know what to do with them, right? So these are from the creator's perspective, like thinking through, what is this creator experience? Creators getting shipped stuff all the time. You need to stand out. You don't want to be one of the things that they just throw out or donate, right? You want it to be thoughtful. So on the flip side, here's some examples of the most thoughtful or personalized products that they've received from a brand through seeding. So that same fitness creator said he's also, one of his most thoughtful experiences was from a supplement brand that sent him the product, made it clear there were no expectations, gave him a bunch of the background about their product, and even said like it may or may not make sense with your routine. Let us know, and then sent him the product. So he got to like talk with them, and it made him actually want to maybe try the product, right? The pet creator, she said that she couldn't decide between two different toys from a brand's website, and she said, told the brand, you can just pick, it's fine. And they ended up sending her both, and she thought it was really thoughtful. And a lot of these, they talk about like sending a little personal note, things like that as well. And then a lifestyle creator said that she received an engraved necklace with her initials, and she was like so surprised because it was so thoughtful. It matched her aesthetic. It also like had her initials on it, so that they took time. So it felt so thoughtful, and she posted about it. So that's some examples there. And then here's some signs of poor product choice. If you're like, is this the right product to choose? So if you do have a low post rate, or creators aren't posting at all, that means that there's something happening either with your product choice, or there's something happening with your creator targeting, like something's up there. Another red flag is if the product is already a problem child for you. I can't tell you how many times I've worked at marketing agencies and brands come to me and they say, this brand isn't selling. Let's send it out to a bunch of creators because it's not selling. That's the worst type of product to send because that means there's not product market fit there and there's something going wrong. So you should be sending your best sellers, your hero products. Now, I get product launches. That could be great too, especially if you have long-term creators you've worked with. I'm talking about like, you have a product that you've been promoting and it is not working, I would not recommend that for a seeding campaign until you have proven your product market fit around it. Your unique selling point is unclear. So what makes yours product different than everything else, right? Like that should be super clear for the creators when they get your product. They're not promoting the product beyond seeding. So if you're only doing seeding and nothing else, like you're not going to move people through the funnel. That is marketing that takes 7 touch points to convert people. The product doesn't connect to trends. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can make sure you're hopping on current trends so that you can actually amplify your post rate. And then you sent a sample size product. This is a big one. Creators, especially, like that work so hard on stuff, like you send them a little sample sized, thing of makeup or a little tiny sample thing of face cream or something like that. How can they really try and see if it's going to work? You're going to get way lower post rate if you send out sample sizes versus full sizes. And then one size fits all targeting. So this is also a big red flag. Your product probably has a unique selling point and a unique audience. You should be shipping it to creators that meet that specific audience, not just doing the spray and pray mentality. So the real takeaway is that freebies don't guarantee posts in 2024 and they can actually backfire. So that's why it's really important to be thoughtful about these things. So how do you pick the perfect product for seeding? So we created this methodology and kind of scoring system around how to pick the right product to reach your goal, right? So there's 4 main categories that are really important to consider. Number 1 is category adoption. So how many people are familiar with it or already use the products in this category? So if you have a line of products, this is really important. So let's say if you're testing to see which product you should pick out of a lineup, maybe you're a pet brand and it's like how many people use pet treats versus this specific interactive toy versus something else, right? Which one has the highest adoption rate where like if you do send it out they're going to post about it? We've worked with beauty brands, like a lot more people use a lip product than maybe use false eyelashes, for example. So like you will typically have a higher post rate with something that has a higher category adoption and there's less education to do in the category. Next is product differentiation. So what is the unique selling points paired with how the product stands out visually in the category? So does your product look different than your competitors is really the answer to that. If it looks like every other eyeliner that's ever been out there, you're probably not going to get as high of a post rate. If you have an eyeliner that does something really interesting, do you remember the winged stamp eyeliner where it would like stamp on your eye and everyone was posting about that and trying it? That was different, right? It had a product differentiation. It made creators want to share it with their audience because it was different, right? Like they don't want to just share something that's the same. They want to share something that has something different going for it, right? Next is the trend score. So is the product in the top trends for the coming months? Things are trending all the time in different categories. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's categories of different products that are trending, especially in beauty, right? We're always looking up to see like there's eyeshadow trending, is blush trending, it's different categories trending with that. But also are different categories even trending in terms of themes of what people are posting about? Is it summer versus winter? And there's different products that people use, maybe a heavier moisturizer in the winter, for example, versus a lighter one in the summer. Next is the momentum rating. If you are lucky enough where you have already been promoting this product and you notice that this product has a much higher click through rate, or this product has a higher sell through rate, or is being Googled more in the search engine as well, then that would be the momentum piece and you can plug that into it. So I won't say that like one of these categories is make or break. Like you might be a winner in some categories and less in other categories. It's looking at it holistically and kind of scoring your product around it. And we actually did create a tool for allowing brands to do that. So if you do want us to audit and go through our process of scoring any of your products, you can actually input them on the little pop-up that Sam just popped up, the producer of our webinar right there. And we will actually like audit through your different products and give them a score of like which one would have the best chances with the creators based on the data that we have. So we've had a lot of requests for this, so we can pull those together, especially if you give us different brands products to compare from your product line. But with that, you could also do this on your own too, and like really think through these different categories as you're picking what product makes the most sense. Some other considerations is, is it easy to ship and is it easy to film? Is it a very cumbersome thing to ship? Is it like, do they have to sign off on it? Is it heavy? Is it frozen? Like there's all these different things to think about because you need to figure that into budget. And then is it easy for the creators to film? Does it fit into their lifestyle, right? So I think that something that people don't always think about is like, why didn't I have a high post rate for this product? But it's like, does it fit into their content, into their lifestyle, right? So small and lightweight items are easier to bundle and ship. Cosmetics, small gadgets, food sampling, or food samples, clothing. And then give creators everything they need to create the content. If you are seeding makeup, does it need a brush to apply the makeup? If you are seeding an ingredient for something, should you give them a gift card so they could create some sort of dinner with that? Like think through some thoughtfully, like what does the creator need to create the content? Sometimes you can't use the product without having another product as well. So how like brainstorm how you can literally pack more value into a smaller package, either more products or more variety. But I do want to note, you don't necessarily want to send every version of foundation, right? When we say add more products that complement the actual post for the creators. And then picking the right products means shipping to the right creators. So seeding based on surface level details is always a gamble. Not all creators are equal, and there are niches within niches. And it's really important to understand that when you're shipping and seeding product, which is why I go back to have the creators opt in before you send it. It saves on product, it increases your post rate, and it makes the creators happier. So before you send a product, I highly recommend getting their opt in. And then untargeted product seeding equals low posting rate and inconsistent results and content. So if you are not targeting and you're just sending everyone on your list, it's just not the best practice to do that. And then the solution is to gather and maintain an accurate data for your creators list. Like, what are their favorite things? Do they have curly hair? Do they have sensitive skin? Do they have all those different pieces? That's why a lot of brands do work with us, because we are able to pull together that data, but you can also pull together in a spreadsheet as well. And it really will increase your post rates. And then here's some examples of some brands that have done it right. And you're going to probably recognize these brands because they're everywhere. The Beach Waiver has probably given out thousands and thousands, seeded thousands and thousands of products. I feel like everyone can't go anywhere without seeing the Beach Waiver. They combine seeding with affiliate to maximize their visibility, which means that they're part of all the different affiliate programs and like TikTok Shop, for example, where when creators post, even though they didn't get paid for it, if they post and it goes viral, they do get a kickback for anyone who purchases through their link, right? So that is a great way to incentivize creators to post. I will note with affiliate that don't expect them to post just because you have an affiliate. It's a great way to incentivize them posting, but the creator, if you are seeding, do not the best way to piss off a creator is to say like, hey, do this just in exchange for the affiliate money that you get, because they're still doing a lot of work for it to create that content, right? But this is a great way to incorporate it with seeding. And then Beach Waiver really dominates social search for things like best curling iron reviews, automated curling. Like they were able to rank in social search around that because they have seeded so many creators posting. And as we know, social search is just a numbers game. And I'm mentioning social search right now, but I do have an entire webinar where we talk about search and the fact that 40% of millennials and Gen Z are now searching on TikTok and Instagram instead of Google. So seeding and influencer marketing is a big part of that. So Sam, if you could pop in that webinar too, if you all are interested and want to see more about social SEO. But then Beach Waiver also ran massive Spark ad campaigns with high performing creator content as well, which is what helps them boost and get even more people viewing the product as well. Circle. So I've seen this brand around for quite a while. They do a lot of product seeding. They began seeding creators back in 2021. They also do have that huge affiliate presence presence, and they continue to seed influencers. They do a lot of personalization where they let them pick their flavors and their water bottles, and they're unique to each creator. So I think that that's where there adds a lot of value as well. And then they seed with micro and macros. They also have product seeding with retail support too, and driving into retailers. So they've done a really great job with that as well. Glow Recipe is another brand that's done a phenomenal job. They really prioritize that creator experience with custom kits. So they really think through like what makes sense for that creator. And they do high value by bundling a bunch of products in their kits that work well together. So not necessarily just like bundling products and giving it out and it feeling wasteful, but where they actually do work, like a cleanser, toner, all the different pieces together, right? And then unboxing content is authentic and enthusiastic as a result of this. They send PR packages to creators, both big and small, and they target a wide variety of skincare audiences too. And lastly, like, yeah, don't just send whatever, especially because, like I said, there is backlash happening. Creators don't always love surprises, and sending swag can be super wasteful and spammy. So people don't know what to do sometimes with a branded. I've seen like a branded like fork for like a food company. It's like, what do I do with this fork? Like even though it seems cute in one perspective, you might want to think through though, if you were the creator, like what are you actually going to do with this product, right? So you get also the risk of being lost in the sea of random PR kits. Avoid building a reputation as that brand that spams creators, because unfortunately there is a handful of brands with that reputation right now, and that's never where you want to be. Now, some signs of good product seeding campaigns. So here is if you know you're doing it right. You get the actual, follow-up posts. So creators post about repurchasing your product or getting more of it, or it shows up months later in there's a thing in the beauty space called empties, where beauty creators will show their empties, which means they've actually used the whole product. So it's always a good thing to say, like, hey, I was gifted this, but I ended up using the whole thing. So you may not see the content right away, but you could see it 6 months from now. And that's pretty cool as well as a big benefit too. And then the product gains momentum in social media. So more creators are searching organically, and that buzz is building. So you will start to notice yourself ranking, or your brand ranking on social search. And then increase in creator interaction. So questions, comments, collab requests, those are all really great signs that you're doing the right things. So now going into part 4. So what is the difference between influencer seeding and influencer marketing, and how should you combine them together or know which one's right for your brand and goals? So we made this diagram here to show kind of the overlap between more traditional influencer marketing and influencer seeding. So with influencer seeding, the most obvious is like there's no guaranteed content, and then influencer marketing, there's guaranteed content, right? And then you have much less control versus much more control, right? Seeding is less time consuming typically, also because you're not going back and forth, you're not having to do contracts, agreements, and your main goal is typically word of mouth, where with influencer marketing, you're looking for word of mouth, awareness, repurposal, UGC, and getting that rights ready content. So like going back to, if you want rights ready content, you should be doing influencer marketing, because you will not get that with influencer seeding. Now, the overlap, there are a couple overlaps. So the creators may not always know your brand's talking points, so you probably want to share those. You need to vet both sides, drive word of mouth and brand awareness, and then make multiple touch points across the buyer's journey. Both of them help you do that through the funnel. And then budgeting for seeding versus influencer marketing campaigns. So getting the best of both worlds means finding that balance. So whenever a brand asks me, like, should I be doing seeding or influencer, or what's the split? Like, it's going to be different based on your goals, which is like always sounds like a cop out answer, but it's the truth. And I think just thinking through too the type of product and going back to your goal is a really easy way to see clarity around whether a seeding campaign is right or an influencer campaign is right, and just like working through the budget around it as well. So you really want to think through, like, do I want to spend the time and probably do less guaranteed posts because that's going to take me longer, or do I just want to like send out to a bunch of creators? Now, I will say most successful brands that have big enough budgets are doing both for sure. And then guaranteed content versus guarantee delivery. This is something at Statusphere that we always talk to brands about, and it's the way our platform works. So we have run guaranteed content campaigns, and those are traditional, contracts with the influencer. You get the rights, you get all of those different things. And then we also have guaranteed delivery campaigns, and that is true seeding, where we guarantee the delivery to the creators. And this is something that's important, because if you don't know that it's actually been delivered there, then you don't even know what your true post rate is, right? So thinking through that as you're building out your plan too. And seeding versus influencer collaborations, like one other way to look at it more from a content perspective of how they're different. On seeding, like, you don't know what you're going to get. You have no briefing. You don't even know what platforms they're going to post on. You don't know if it's going to be, a story or a dedicated post. I will say typically you're going to get more story mentions, which only have a shelf life of 24 hours. And the posts are really sporadic, right? Where if you're doing true influencer campaigns, you can include some do's and don'ts. You can include talking points. You can specify which platform they need to post on. You can actually negotiate your rights in them, and also expect more dedicated videos and mentions. So that's why thinking through your goals, which one of these does it align with, and then decide if that's the right plan for you. So lastly, to wrap up, is some expert tips for product seeding success. So first, you're going to want to automate as much of your product seeding as possible. So I've been there, living in spreadsheets, sending out all of these different shipments, chasing them down. I think it's really important to think of ways that you can automate your different pieces. So first, the fulfillment and tracking. Like, are there tools that you can integrate with, pieces like that? I mean, this is also a plug. We do handle a lot of these different processes. So if you don't want to hear from Statusphere and figure out how we can help you do that, we do automate a lot of these pieces too. But there are other ways that you can think about it, whether it's like integrating your or building out some like Airtable integrations, or using Zapier to do some integrations as well. You can automate some of these different pieces as well. Matching products with relevant creators, gathering and tracking content. So having a really centralized place where you're gathering and pulling all that content in. And then the communication as well with the creators too. So with Statusphere, we do even let the creators track their shipments, which also helps increase that post rate. So if there's a way that you can do that also with your creators, we've seen that also increases post rate. And then embrace content variety. So you're going to get all sorts of different content. The best influencer content is typically raw and off the cuff, especially when you're looking at platforms like TikTok, and now Reels is bleeding into that. So, you really want to realize that with seeded content, you're going to get that very authentic, which will mean less polished. And typically with some brands that have a more, a brand like specifics that they want followed, like that's not going to happen, right, with seeding. So variety of content though is still a good thing, because it does mean you have more different types of content to try in ads, organic social, email, website, and product reviews. So just like thinking through that as well. But as always, you need to make sure you get the rights for any content that you use. So if creators do post about you, message them, get the rights. Sometimes they'll charge for it, and you will have to do that as well. And then how to remove the randomness from your seeding campaigns is one of the things that we've been really focusing on, because I have seen so many creators talking about the waste and all of those different pieces. So I am excited to say that we have a new feature that allows brands to really focus in on that. So I'd love to, if you want to see a demo of it, we're happy to do it. If you're one of our current customers, we're happy to show you that as well. But you can actually set benchmarks, and we can help you track the data and reach those goals as well of those post rates that you're looking for. So as we wrap up, I'm happy to answer some questions. You can get that free product influencer fit audit, so that Sam shared earlier. And then, like I said, at Statusphere, we are launching our new feature, which is like true seeding campaigns through our platform. So we already do website reviews and guaranteed post campaigns, but we do now have seeding, which allows you to automate all those different pieces, from the fulfillment, even the kitting, all of those different things for the brands that we work with, and get those guaranteed delivery. So if you are interested, we're happy to run through a demo, and would love to see if we can help you all. But with that, is there any questions I can answer? Feel free to drop them in the chat. It looks like, Tori, would the traditional route involve a contract? Do you mean the traditional route of influencer? I think you probably mean influencer collaborations. Yes, it would require a contract to do that as well. Any other questions popping up? Yeah, a contract. You're gonna, because you can't repurpose any of the content unless you have that contract in place with the creators as well. Awesome. Although it's no posting obligation, how do you get them to post? Great question. It's always helpful to encourage it. Put a little card inside that says, and we always with the brands we work with, we recommend a little card that says, if you do post about us, tag us. But that's the thing with seeding, is that the best way to get them to post is to get the right creator matched with the right product. So like I said earlier, if it's like if you're solving a pain point for them, they're much more likely to post for them versus just spraying it out to everybody. So keep that in mind. How many times do you recommend doing seeding per quarter? This is going to depend per brand. I've seen some brands do it per product launch. They'll do a seeding campaign. So that's always part of their product launch. They'll do both a typical influencer campaign with some guaranteed posts that they have rights to, and then they'll also do a seeding in conjunction with that for each product launch. A lot of brands typically do have quarterly product launches, so that tends to be a quarterly type mailing. I also have seen brands who are more seasonal do a couple a year as well too. And then one other seeding that I didn't really talk about today that can be interesting is seeding for people's birthdays or things like that. So like, hey, who has a birthday this month? I want to send them some seeding. I want to seed them a little birthday gift, for example. That's still technically product seeding because they don't have to post about it, but it's very thoughtful. So that's something else that we did integrate into our platform too, where the creators can like input their birthdays and stuff like that. So it's really makes it a lot easier for you to seed the campaigns. Do you have influencers and or opportunities for seeding in the semiconductor B2B space? I was like, we personally do not right now, but there are influencers in every category. It's pretty phenomenal how many different subcategories there are. So I would recommend searching around as if you were the consumer and see what type of people are posting about that category. With product seeding, do influencers typically post because they have an interest in the product, or because of their audience, or a mix of both? That's a great question. When I was a creator, most of the time I would end up posting a product that was seeded to me because I felt like it fit with my audience and it fit with my, for lack of a better term, content calendar. Like it fit with what I like to post about. I was more of a food and crafting creator at the time. So if it fit into that and it made sense for me, I was a lot more likely to post about it. Also, if it was thoughtfully done, just like the creators we interviewed, it was like, wow, I think the lifestyle creator had something that had her name embroidered. It was so thoughtful. She wanted to share it with her followers, right? So I think that from a high level, it's an interest in the product, but it's also at the end of the day, the creators typically are serving their audience and their community and building that community and wanting to help them. So also, if you solve a pain point in their life, they typically want to share it with their audience so that they can help their audience share that same pain point. So that's why I think that creator match is so important. So amazing. Oh, and then Lily says how many creators are on our platform. We have 35,000 profiles, and we're growing every day, and we have a wait list as well. And then we also allow brands to upload your own creator list so that they can fill out profiles too, on our platform. And then that way you can seed them too. So who has curly hair or sensitive skin and seed them the right product. So if you are interested, feel free to book a demo and we'd be happy to chat, and show you the seeding capabilities. But with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We'll be messaging you all too. We'll have another webinar, or panel next month as well. So we'll be sharing that out soon. And I'd love to see you there. Bye, everybody.